Hey, good morning, everybody. We are now in the second half of John chapter 10. And John tells us that actually the season has changed. We've gone from October, when Jesus was attending the Feast of Booths, now to December, when Jesus is in Jerusalem for another festival. We know this festival as Hanukkah. It's sometimes called the Feast of Dedication, or the Festival of Lights, or the Feast of the Maccabees. It originated back in about 165 BC, when the Greek Seleucid king who occupied Israel at the time, his name was Antiochus Epiphanes, really made the Jews mad. He set up a statue of the Greek god Zeus in the temple, and then to top it off, he sacrificed pigs and other unclean animals on the altar. This violation of the temple inspired, you might say, Judas Maccabeus and several other pious Jews, many other pious Jews for that matter, to lead a military revolt against Antiochus Epiphanes. And they reclaimed the temple, and they purified it and established this festival called Hanukkah. Now, with that in mind, let's read a little bit from John chapter 10. We're going to begin with verse 24. John writes, "The people surrounded him and asked, 'How long are you going to keep us in suspense? Are you the Messiah? Tell us plainly.' Jesus replied, 'I have already told you, and you don't believe me. The proof is the work that I do in my Father's name. But you don't believe me because you are not my sheep. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them, and they know me. I give them eternal life, and they will never perish. No one can snatch them away from me, for my Father has given them to me, and he is more powerful than anyone else. No one can snatch them from the Father's hand. The Father and I are one.' Once again, the people picked up stones to kill him. Jesus said, 'At my Father's direction I have done many good works. For which one of these are you going to stone me?' They replied, 'We're stoning you not for any good work, but for blasphemy. You, a mere man, claim to be God.'" You see, the Jewish leaders wanted to expose Jesus. And his claim to be God had just crossed the line in their eyes. Their idea of the Messiah, of course, was that the Messiah would be a military general, a conquering hero like Judas Maccabeus was, and that he would drive out the Romans and allow the Jews to reclaim their land, to be in control of their land again. But Jesus gave no indication that this is the way that he was going to be. In fact, Jesus tells them, he says, "I have already told you, and you don't believe me. You're not listening. Just look at what I've done." Maybe if these Jewish leaders would have read Isaiah with an open heart and an open mind, perhaps they could have seen that Jesus is the Messiah. He is the one Isaiah and many other prophets prophesied about. Let's read from Isaiah chapter 35, verse 5. "And when he, the Messiah, comes, he will open the eyes of the blind and unplug the ears of the deaf. The lame will leap like a deer, and those who cannot speak will sing for joy." Now, later in this particular passage in John 10, John tells us that Jesus and several of the people that were huddling around Jesus traveled to the Jordan River. And this is the place, of course, where John the Baptist used to baptize and preach. In fact, John writes that they were talking and even comparing John the Baptist and Jesus. Let's pick it up in verse 41. It says, "John didn't perform miraculous signs," they remarked to one another, but everything he said about this man has come true. And many who were there believed in Jesus." Now, it's true that Jesus was not the Messiah that they dreamed about, that they felt like they really wanted. Even Jesus' family, his own family, had a hard time believing that he was telling the truth. Jesus came as a servant, and he would eventually give his life for the sins of the world and for your sin and for my sin. And some people actually got it. Some people actually believed. They opened their minds and their hearts, and they realized the possibility that Jesus was really the Son of God, and they believed. You know, I was thinking about that times really haven't changed that much. I think that that's where many people are today. We try to come to Jesus, but we come to Jesus on our own terms, and we blame Jesus for not fitting into our expectations of what we want him to be. When in fact, Jesus wants us to come humbly. Jesus tells us, my sheep listen to my voice. He comes as a shepherd, not as a warrior. John tells us that he is God. He's the Son of God. He's the Messiah. He's the light of the world, and that the Jewish leaders knew very well that he was claiming to be God. And later, he proved it by dying and rising from the dead. He is worthy of our trust. He is worthy of our following. What about you? Are you still trying to fit Jesus into your little box? I urge you, allow him to speak truth into your life. Listen for his voice. Following Jesus changes everything. Give him a chance. Have an amazing day.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.